Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. I'm looking forward to talking with Grant Farhall. Grant, it's great to connect with you as the Chief Product Officer, responsible at Getty Images overall, production, strategy, vision. You oversee the company's e-commerce platform, the websites, the user experience, the customer research, SEO strategy. We're going to be talking a lot about images and AI today, and I'm looking forward to talking with you because I think we're in such a visual world, and it's so important. But as a business coach, I work with people all over the globe who are successful but stuck. I work with them to get them unstuck. And so I like to start off my podcast just kind of talking to you about what's a recent area that you've been stuck in business and how did you get unstuck?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks, John, for having me on the program. It's great to be here. Where have I been recently stuck? I think, for us, a big area has been about, how do we enable AI in terms of uh, giving our customers better ability to source visuals for their marketing and their communications, and how do we do that in a responsible way? So obviously, everyone wants to talk about AI. There's all sorts of services that are out there. What's the Getty way of delivering that? And what we came to was developing a model with NVIDIA that was responsibly trained on our library and still delivers really strong visuals. So for me, that was it. That was the unstuck moment. Was there's a way of doing this in a commercially responsible, safe way that can still help our customers, and that's how we kind of unstuck ourselves in the AI space.
Yeah, I love that. I want to talk a little bit about you mentioned the Getty way, right? And I love that. But define a little bit about the Getty way and how you get, is it a little bit of brainstorming, reflection, silence time? How do you ultimately come up with what that decision is to get you unstuck?
So I think the way that we come at it is by reminding ourselves what really is it, what's the business we're in? What do our customers expect from us? And you start there. You ground yourself in what is the value you're bringing to your customers. So for Getty Images, it's reminding ourselves what is it we do? What is it that we're showing up every day to help our customers do? And it's to create in elevated ways and leveraging visuals to do that. And then we're going to deliver that in a way where our customers can save time, save money, and not create any risk for themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the starting point. When I say the Getty way, that's the starting point, and reminding yourselves of we are not going to do anything that deviates from that. In fact, we're going to do things that amplify and build on that.
Yeah.
And if you put that filter, and it's almost a filter of focus, bring yourself back to what the essence of the business is, and you use that filter to make all those critical decisions, it becomes quite clarifying.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
That's how we approach.
I love it. I mean, I agree with everything that you just said. I don't even need to add anything on because the value and reminding yourself what business you're in, sometimes everybody needs that 10-second to 30-second reset. That's perfectly said. Thank you so much. I find myself as a business coach doing that with clients a lot, bringing them back, right? It's like too many squirrels and get back to focus, get back to center. And let's remember the business we're in and the value that our clients want from us. We got to keep it extra simple because people are too distracted today. So,
and I find there's value, John, in asking them that question too.
Correct.
And because if you identify a delta between what you think you were showing up every day, you and your teams are showing up every day to do, versus what your customers are expecting from you, if there's a gap there, then something's gone wrong. Something's gone haywire that you need to address.
Correct. And it's down to the word and so many things, the visual with the word. Yeah, no, it is it's great. I thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay, let's move on. I want you talked about the filter in which, they visually see things. And my dad was a photographer. Now, he was a dentist, but he loved photography, and I have a love for photography. I'm not a great photographer, but I had my Canon EOS forever before and used it all the time. I love imagery. I love photography. At one point I was taking some lessons because I really wanted to get really good at it. And you used to be able to take a picture and the picture is what you saw. Today, you can take a picture and filter it 4,000 different ways. And so I'm not sure, as you were talking, the filter in which you put things through, but let's just talk about what makes a good, just real picture before we put the filters on it, before we put anything. What kind of picture grabs the emotion? Like, what is a good picture today?
I think a lot of that is grounded in authenticity
Yeah.
and truth. And does it represent the essence of what was going on in that visual?
Yeah.
And particularly in sort of the pre-shot imagery area that we do a lot in. I think when stock photography, as some other people call it, first came along, everything was about being highly produced, highly staged. The lighting was perfect. The setting was perfect. Every single nuance was thought through, and that's still the case. But now, what customers are asking for is that authenticity. So, a lens flare or a slight flaw in the photo actually has value because the world's not perfect.
Yeah.
There's a lot more use of natural light. So our photographers that we work with aren't coming to set with massive lighting kits. They're using natural light because that's what we're looking for as
Right.
people. What resonates with, I think, us more than ever is when we see a visual, when we're scrolling on our social feeds and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll and something causes you to pause for that one moment. And
Yeah.
quite often that's a visual. What is it that captures you? It's something that connects to you as a person that causes you to just pause and not scroll past that. And I think that's because there's something that feels real and authentic that
Yeah.
speaks to you as a human being. And that to me is what a great visual does. At its very essence, it speaks to something that connects with that audience, but in an authentic way as opposed to a manufactured way.
Yeah. Here's one thing I want to know. When we come and when we talk about pictures, right? You're talking about, images, but and you're talking about, what captures you, what connects with people. But what is the number one thing that people are connected to? Is it empowerment? Is it inspiration? Is it motivation? Is it just emotion? Like, what's the number one thing that people connect with the most when it comes to photography?
I don't think you can boil it down to a number one thing. I think each of us are different, and I think that how our brains connect with things is different. Um, but I do think that there's something there that I think you hit on it probably in terms of inspiration. I think it's something in a visual that inspires you to take action, inspires
Yeah.
you to think about something, inspires you to take that next step, inspires you to click on the button, inspires you just to feel an emotion. I think
Yeah.
there is something, or another way of thinking it has to provoke something within oneself.
Yeah.
If you see an image that doesn't provoke something, it just falls flat. That's not a great image. An
Yeah.
image should provoke some reaction or action, and I think it comes down to inspiration or
Yeah.
that provoking ability.
Yeah. That inspiration, that intrinsic, inspiration. I think what you're talking about, right? Something where a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? I think there's a lot of truth to that. And yeah, I appreciate that. Let's talk about your business. You are well, tell everybody in kind of a sentence or two the business you're in.
Yeah, so Getty Images is in the business of licensing visual content, so images, illustrations, and video, and we do that through our three brands: GettyImages.com, iStock, and Unsplash. And there's two parts to our business. There's what we refer to as creative imagery, and those are visuals that you can use in your commercial work, your marketing communication, your social media, where you are essentially selling something or commercializing something. And those are visuals that you're using in that marketing communication. And then the other side of our business is on the editorial. So, where you're seeing coverage of conflicts around the world, coverage of the Academy Awards, of the Olympics. Often that'll be Getty Images. And so that's where we are providing our media customers largely with visuals that, in a very truthful way and accurate way, tell the stories of those important events around the world. And I think that's important in this world now where that line between what's real and not And
Yeah.
in a world of deep fakes and fake news, being a trusted source of accurate, authentic, real visuals documenting the world around us is extremely important.
Right. You kind of led into the next question that I had, right? So, in that space, and you're getting in the AI space as well, right? With AI, things can be, I love, there's many things I love about AI. I use it every day. I use Chat GPT every day, and, different elements of AI, but how is AI gonna keep not only Getty, but all of these other places, you know, um, uh, real? How, where the boundary is going to be, right? So because there's going to be so many things you can do. We haven't even scratched the surface. We're like in nursery school when it comes to our ability to use AI. And so where is that going to go? Where is that going to go to keep the authenticity? How do we do that?
Well, I think there's two ways to think about it. And again, on the editorial side of the business, where an image is being captured to document something, an event, something that's happening in the news, a sporting event, entertainment event, then that's not an appropriate use of AI. And that's where we as consumers of media need to be making sure that when we see a visual, we are looking at what is the source of that visual, and is it a trusted source? And there's been examples, over the last year of images that have come out and been spread across social media, suggesting something had happened that didn't happen. So
Yeah.
I think some of that's up to us as consumers of media to really make sure you know what you're looking at. Some of it sits within the media itself to make sure that it is holding itself to appropriate standards and it's using visuals that are truthful and honest. I think on the creativity side, that's where there's opportunities to leverage AI to allow one to stretch one's imagination and to allow for efficiency in the creative process. But I think what we hear from consumers is they still want to know when something is AI generated or not.
Yeah.
Some consumers have a more natural, resistant, or a negative perception to any brand that is using AI. And this is based on some research that we've done. But a lot of the population are more comfortable with it, but they really want to know. So if you're going to market to me and that person in the visual was AI generated, I want you to be authentic and I want you to tell me.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of this, is being transparent about when one is using AI to create a visual and when not. But then again, back to the editorial side, that's where there needs to be a very thick line drawn, that when we are seeing something in the media, reporting an event or something in the news, that is an actual image taken with a camera by a real person,
Yeah.
documenting something, not creating something.
Yeah.
That's the line that I draw.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Hopefully, we'll see how everybody around the world continues to draw that line. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to
You know,
continue to get a little bit blurry and a bit weird
yeah.
out there. So I think it's
Yeah.
just being aware of these things and challenging and questioning them.
Yeah. I want to do a little bit of a mini business course with you, Grant. Uh, so we're doing a mini business course with Grant Farrell with Getty Images, Chief Production Officer. So here's my question. I want to talk about three things that a company like yours does to stay ahead of real time when it comes to changing technologies, right? So what are, let's start off with number one. We're recording this in end of 2023, moving into 2024. What's the one of three things? What's number one of how, as a company, you stay ahead of real time when there's so much technology changes coming towards us?
I think the number one thing there would be expertise.
Mhm.
We have on our team some talented, highly knowledgeable people that understand the visual landscape around us. And we fund and are constantly doing research to understand those visual trends, understand how people represent concepts in their marketing, in their visuals, in their communication, so that we can then stay ahead of that and direct our photographers and our contributors and our creators on what's changing in those trends.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of embedded expertise with outward facing research on an ongoing basis to distill it down into insights that we can then use to direct the creators that we work with, so that the visuals coming into our business are always more of a look ahead as opposed to a look in the past.
Yeah. I love that you talk about how you continually distill it. I think that's important and sometimes missed in many cases. Number two.
I think number two would be the willingness to roll up our sleeves and be on the ground working with our photographers. So again, Getty Images works with, we have staff photographers, particularly on the editorial side, and then we have image partners. We have a network of hundreds of thousands of contributors, but we have a smaller network of exclusive photographers and illustrators and videographers. And we are hands-on with them.
Yeah.
We are at their shoots. We are helping the art direction of the shoots. We are on the ground helping to them capture those moments that are going to create great visuals. So it's a lot of just roll up your sleeves and actually get in there and be in the detail.
Right. Get in the trenches.
I would say that's number two. Yep.
Yeah. Being in the detail is really important. It's the details make a big difference in the nuances of them. Number three.
Number three, I think, is the talent of the people that we work with. Again, our creators that we work with, the photographers, the videographers, the illustrators. I think great visuals are created when you have that natural talent coming together with data and hard work. I sort of have heard various photographers over the years talk about getting lucky shots. And I think that's actually a myth.
Yeah.
I don't think it's luck. I think it's being thoughtful, and I think it's a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And so Getty Images is very fortunate to work with a large number of extremely talented people that just have that natural ability to capture the right frame.
Yeah.
And you know it when you see it. And John, I don't think it's luck. I think it's talent, not luck. So I think that's important for us too.
Yeah, no, I think so. It's like anybody can take a picture with your iPhone, but the art of a photographer is just it's just the sliver of an angle or the light. I agree with you.
Well, and for us, John, it's even like when you're creating a photo, because our photos are being used for commercial purposes, doing so in a way that there's room for copy.
Right.
I mean, that in and of itself is magical, that you can think through that type of detail as you're capturing a moment. It blows me away.
Yeah, no, me too. I love the whole idea of it. Grant Farhall, Getty Images, mini business course, gettyimages.com. This was a great mini business course. I really believe, I do these within my podcast. I started these a couple weeks ago because I think you can learn more from these than sometimes you can in college, right? And it's real compact. So that was great. I appreciate that. I want to talk a little bit about you. Let's talk about you. Success is never a straight line, so give us kind of the 1 to 2 minute version of how, not only how you got to where you are today, but a mentor along the way that kind of helped, as you were talking about with photography, but helped infuse the inspiration for you.
So I've had a very a windy road. I started working in the agency space. I then pivoted and worked in radio and broadcasting for a while, and then found myself in product and back at Getty Images. So my point there is that there's no straight line. I think career journeys are twisty, windy roads, and it's worked out really well for me.
Yeah.
I think through that road, what I focused on is being someone who makes an impact and people enjoy working with. And if you do those two things, then you will be given opportunities, because you're going to be someone that people want to work with, and you're going to get pulled into projects. You're going to be pulled into opportunities. And I've kept that in mind throughout my career. In terms of a mentor, I mean, Craig Peters, our CEO of Getty Images, I've been fortunate to work closely with him over the 13 years, almost to the day, I think, that I joined Getty Images. I've worked closely with him since day one. And he's taught me a lot about being a leader, being data-driven, and how to infuse data into decisions, and how to take rational approaches by leveraging that information and that data. So, when I think of someone who's had an impact on my career, including at Getty Images, but has allowed me to evolve as a leader, obviously you take bits and pieces from all sorts of people along the way. I'm sure you did as well, John. But for me, I think Craig would be certainly the person that's top of mind.
Right. All right. Good job, Craig. Good job. Um, so where you were into broadcasting, what did you want to do? Or what did you
I
think you
wanted to
wanted to
be in sports broadcasting, and
do?
so I worked in news, and but I dipped my toe in sports, and actually still, I do play-by-play for a professional lacrosse team here in Calgary.
Yeah.
And so I still get to play around a little bit. But that was the goal, was to get into that world. I love the podcasting space too. I think that's opened up so many opportunities for people to experiment with
Yeah.
format and put great content out into the world, and that's what it was for me. It was
Yeah.
about having a way of putting something out in the world that's yours.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously you have a passion for it, and there's nothing like it, right? There's
There's
nothing like
nothing like
turning that
so
mic on and going.
yeah, I love it. I wanted to go into broadcast journalism. I loved Larry King. I wanted to be kind of the next
Yes.
Larry King, and I double majored in economics and journalism. I worked at Channel 7, interning my last year of college. I made it to the final cut of Channel 9 and 10 in Cadillac, Michigan. Didn't get the job, and ended up starting an internet company. But I was very passionate about it, and yeah, it was fun. So I get to kind of do it through this podcast in a way. Yeah.
So you and I are probably similar, because when I was a kid, I would fall asleep at night with my Walkman listening to Larry King,
Yeah.
because at the
Yeah.
time he was one of the only like live talk radio
Right.
shows around, and I
Yeah.
for years listened to him until midnight or 1 in the morning on my
Yeah.
Walkman under my pillow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I love Larry King. Yeah. So, and he wrote a great book you may enjoy. I think it was called How to Talk to Anyone Anytime About Anything. If you haven't read it, but
I've not, but I will. I will. Yeah, because
all right, good, good. We'll talk more about that. So, but in the meantime, let's do a quick speed round. A book that's had the biggest impact on you.
Daniel Pink, Drive or Driven to Under. I
Yeah.
can't remember the title. That's
Yeah.
terrible. But
That's a great.
understanding what motivates people, and how it's different from person to person, that really resonated.
Good. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
I think Simon Sinek, talking about finding your why and
Yeah.
understanding your why as a person and as a business. I'm very purpose driven, so I think Simon Sinek is full of wisdom, but that is one that I keep at the top of my mind.
Yeah, me too. I love that one. Last question. Finish your sentence. One thing everybody can do to really make sure that they are connected to the value they think they have and the value that their clients want.
Ask your clients.
Yeah.
Ask them directly.
It's funny you say that, because a lot of times when I'm coaching people, I'm in some of these rooms where, I'm a business coach and they're bringing in all of these other people and they're running stuff. I loved what you talked earlier about, infusing data at the right points and parts, and then I'll kind of suggest like, hey, has anybody talked to, such, and they're like, oh wait, we never thought of that. And so it sounds so simple, but it's not. So I appreciate you bringing that up, right? Think community. If you're a, owner of a business, talk to the people who work with you, talk to your clients, talk to your prospects. They'll tell you a lot of what you want to know.
And don't lose that as you move up the ladder, as you move into more senior roles and an executive role. There's, still talking to your customer means literally you talking to your customer, and you'll always learn something. It's never a bad use of time.
Yeah. Amen. This was great. Grant, this was great. I really appreciate you taking time to talk to me, talk to the Think community. Think community, I love this podcast. I work with people who are successful but stuck. I get them unstuck. I love this podcast because I get to have guests like Grant on that help you get unstuck. We just kind of talked about it, but I want to highlight again a couple important things. Make sure you know when to infuse data. And because if you don't bring data to the meeting, everyone just uses their own opinion. So you got to kind of layer in a little instinct, a little data. Do what you can do to make an impact. Be likable, because nobody likes working with assholes. Remind yourself what business you're in, and make sure that you're bringing value to every customer. Lots of great nuggets. This was like a mini master's class, Grant. I appreciate it. Any last thoughts?
This is great, John. I love the format. I love what you're doing here, and love to be back anytime you can have me.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have you back. Stay on after, and we'll catch up a little bit more. Think community. If you can reach Grant at gettyimages.com. Anywhere else, Grant, they can reach you?
I mean, our three brands, gettyimage.com, iStock.com, and unsplash.com. If people need visuals for their marketing and their communications, those three brands got you covered.
Great. All right. Grant, thanks. This was awesome. And Think Community, you can reach me at jondwoskin.com. Grant, thanks, man. This was great. Appreciate you.